Holy shit, this is how you ruin all DLCs in all other games. This has to be one of the most insane things any developer has ever done. I feel like I robbed Abe because of how cheap this DLC is. I don't even know how to start this video other than telling you just to go out and buy this already. It's more than worth the price. Alright. Let's take a step back real quick. Doom the Dark Ages came out on May 14th, 2025. To what some might say a very mixed bag, with some praising the innovation it took with the sidestep from whatever the fuck you call this shit in Eternal. The others saying it's good, but it felt easier and less challenging than Eternal's breakneck speed. I sat directly in the middle of those two views. I love the difference from Eternal to the Dark Ages. It felt like it was the right direction to go in. Going from a very vertical set gameplay to a more horizontal base felt like the change needed. But while I was playing the game, I felt a sense of longing, a sense that I was missing something, a need, a need more or less, a need for a stronger challenge. The base game felt like the skill ceiling wasn't that hard to hit. Each level gave you a mandatory boss with health and ammo upgrades, and very easy collectible and secrets to find. When you compare that to Eternal, there were full-blown skippable arenas that gave a great challenge and rewarded those who looked around and took time to understand the game by giving pieces to unlock the Unmaker. However, there was something else that Eternal had that was sorely missing from the Dark Ages, and that was the speed in from Eternal. However, there was something else that Eternal had that was sorely missing from the Dark Ages, and that was the speed that Eternal had. But that's where this DLC comes in. A combination of new and old, and what worked from all previous games. A love letter to all the fans, new, old, critics, and those who made Doom what it is. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. How Doom is still redefining the game with a DLC that makes up for past mistakes. Like I said in the intro, the base game for the Dark Ages was more horizontal than that of Eternal, going for more army formations like shield guns, forming defense lines with a pinky and its rider behind it, megabases taking high ground positions, or long range distance attacks, or the tyrant holding down a choke point. This all worked with the gameplay, but it still felt a bit too easy, because once you learn the attack patterns for each of the enemies and where you have to be for each, they became a cakewalk. Now, yes, Eternal had that too, however, there's a massive difference between the two. In Eternal, they were more abundant and moving. See, Eternal would throw the same enemies at you, but the combination of the enemies and what came was always different. They would always throw surprises at you, whether it be a former boss being in the rest of the game, mixed in with the Archvile, or three tyrants, with the five mancubuses roaming around, chasing you with imps jumping all over the place, or the Arachnotron crawling up and down the walls, shooting you, or throwing bombs. Dark Ages didn't really have this. They didn't have surprise attacks from enemies. They throw them all right in front of you, or they just show the hell spawn point when running down a corridor. But the enemies also didn't really move. Well, yes, some would apply pressure, like the Argonaut Hunter or the Baron. They didn't show up nearly enough to keep me on my toes. However, this is where Revelations comes in. All those issues I had, gone. Demons not abundant enough? Yeah, hold that. Think the combinations aren't good enough? Here, the Archvile's back and can put shields up and spawn enemies. Think that's still too easy? Here's some more flying enemies that toss their souls at you. And while we're at it, let's throw in some more invisible enemies that get easily lost in the sauce but will fuck you up. And finally, do you think the demons aren't moving enough? Fuck you. Let's have these bitches teleport around the map, and demons can now be buffed and do more damage and have increased speed. Go fuck yourself, bitch. That's my interpretation of how these meetings went, because my god, they fixed all of it. They added back random ass surprises and throw you in a loop with some of these arenas. Like the first arena in the last level has three waves each, getting more insane than the last. It's kind of evil and sadistic, but it is amazing. Speaking of surprises, hands down the biggest surprise wasn't the gameplay or enemy variety. It was the amount of high quality content there is. Genuinely, when I saw that this DLC took over a year to make, I was so confused because how the fuck does it take a year to make a few more levels, maybe a new weapon, or what have you, and call it a day? I mean, in the span of a year, Eternal had 6 new levels and master levels, and a new piece of equipment. So what the fuck was happening to the Dark Ages? Hugo said on stream that it was going to be like going from 2016 to Eternal. And wow, he was right. We'll get to gameplay in a second. Let's talk about what's in this DLC first. So as stated in this section before, they brought back the Archvile, new flying enemies, and more invisible enemies. But there's also a whole upgrade for the new spear weapon that allows more in-depth gameplay and freedom of expression. We'll get to this later. But even after finishing the main story, there's a whole new level of endgame where you can load back into the main story missions, gain access to previously locked areas that give access to secret OG levels, like in Doom 2016, but even more in depth. And when you complete these levels, you get access to the 93 shotgun, which is a diabolical power weapon to have. There's also time travels upon earning a gold key to a boss fight in the main hub, which is also a very good boss fight. There's also predator suit combat arenas that upon winning earn you abilities for your suit that aid in gameplay. But on top of all that, there's also Hellgate challenges waiting for you that allows you to challenge yourself even more. But even after you finish that final boss that I mentioned previously, they give they give extra arena challenges, which is even more insane. All of this makes the DLC not even feel like a DLC, but more of its own base standalone game. It makes half these companies on the market look like bumbling idiots. Because how do you get one up by a fucking DLC? Now, the meat and big fucking potatoes here. The DLC brought back the meat hook and the dashing. Why, you may ask? Because you can't have one without the other. But let me tell you, I had my doubts on them bringing this back, but they somehow knew how to fucking cook with the leftover sauce that was sitting in the back of the fridge for like 5 years and make it taste good. We'll start off with the basics. You got your 8 base weapons in the base game, and you still get the shield. You can do everything the base game lets you, i.e. throw the shield, shield bash, stun enemies, and deflect projectiles with it. But now with the introduction of the spear, we can do a lot more with this playset. So for starters, you can only dash when the spear is equipped, otherwise indoor walking. The spear also allows the meat hook to be used, but on top of all that, the spear can do a sweeping move that not only damages enemies around it, but can also break through hot armor, kill light demons, like the soldier and zombie, but can also deflect projectiles back. So what's the catch? Why would I want to use the shield when the spear can do it all? Well, you don't need to. You can finish the entire game as is with the shield or with the spear. But the spear has no defense at all, so if you miss a projectile or latch onto the wrong demon, you're fucked. Dashes only recharge when you're on the ground, and the meat hook only has a max of 2 uses in the air, but that's only fully upgraded after reaching the endgame. For the majority of the main path, you can only use one, so pretty much if you had bad positioning or an archvile decided to teleport away from you, which leaves you in a bad spot, you're pretty much fucked. And the sweeping move with the spear has a delay, so you have to swing a bit earlier than you would with the shield when deflecting. But that's only the base spear. there are upgradable skills that can be unlocked, and I'm about to rapid fire through them. There's the Grand Slam ability that allows you to slam on the ground after hooking on a demon. Very helpful when demons are crowded together for a lot of health and stun capability. There's a throw that doesn't have a great effect on the surrounding area, but it can be used to target enemies who like to use shield projectiles, as it cuts through them and headshots deal greater damage. There's the stabbing ability, which is great to deal a high amount of damage to demons like the Archvile, as it stuns them, but also makes quick work with demons with armor, as it superheats them instantly. And of course, the slash that can be upgraded to give a speed boost and greater damage upon a perfect parry or execution. Now, while you can beat the game with only the shield or spear if you really want to, the real beauty of the real beauty is when you combine the two together and start using everything in your arsenal. You be a fucking force of nature. Look at this shit. You can throw your shield at a demon, have them be stunned, then stick the hook onto them, which sends you flying across the map, slam down on the ground and stun like the demon. Recall the shield to fight that bigger demon one on one, then haul out by switching to the spear again and dashing away. Or you can swing first, then bash across the map, take out a few demons, then switch back to the spear and start stabbing through or throw the shield at a pesky cackle demon way up above. Combining this way of play with the weapons of your choice makes a rival gameplay of Eternal. The removal of glory kills makes this game flow even more fluidly, arguably more so than Eternal at points. Now, I didn't know if I should have talked about this, but honestly, it wouldn't make sense not to, as this is important. As I'm sure all of you have heard, id had a bunch of layoffs, like a week after this DLC came out, and around the same time that I bought it. Now, the rumors were that id was going to become a support studio and that id Tech would be gone, but that has since been debunked, and id will keep making games. As cool as it is, as cool as it is that it is still making games. What's not cool is having those devs who spent the past 4 or 5 years of their lives working on this just to get fired as soon as the DLC that rivals a full price $70 AAA game, especially when the CEO of Xbox even mentioned Doom as one of the franchises that they want to keep investing in. It's hard to follow the math on that, you see. So to all the devs who got laid off on any of the modern Doom games, thank you for your contribution. And while I'm not too interested in making games for the reasons listed above, just know that you are also an inspiration for me to learn more about game development and even to learn how to program. So once more, thank you. I personally believe that Doom might go on hiatus for a long while, as I don't see any more DLC or major updates for the Dark Ages. So that means that it is working on their next game already, and I think it's going to be a Quake game. As with the new Xbox CEO alongside Doom, she also stated that she was interested in having more Quake games, and I personally have never really played a Quake game, so I'll be very interested in playing a more modern edition of a Quake game. So I'll end off with this. Doom the Dark Ages Revelations is an example of what a DLC should be and how a company can learn from its mistakes from the base game and improve on every aspect on it in the DLC. Like, genuinely, this would be a full game, a full price game, if this was made by EA or Activision. But it respects us, the players, and wanted to give us a way to say, fuck you, we've heard, we heard your issues, and we want you to have fun with this. And to that I say, touche, you bastards.